everyone, my name is Neka, but you can call me Ninja Canada Girl. So this is new for me. I'm going to be starting a vlog, and I would also have posts on Instagram, video posts on my total experience of moving from Nigeria to Canada, but I'm still fairly new here. I mean, I just arrived a few days ago, but I'm willing to learn and share my experiences with you. So yes, I started the process a little over a year ago, and everything I've gone through in the process I'll be glad to share with you. But for now, let's start with my landing gist. Yes, from Nigeria immigration to Canada immigration, and I'll tell you pretty much everything you need to know. So I left Nigeria on the 4th of April 2018, and of course I had to leave early. I went with Ethiopian Airlines. If you'd be traveling to Canada and you're looking for an affordable flight that is also comfortable, Ethiopian Airlines is your best bet. I mean, there's a lot of leg room, it's quite comfortable, and the crew very kind. The food, if you don't mind eating plenty rice, it's okay, but nah, it's not something you can deal with for just a few hours. So yes, back to my story. So my flight was scheduled for 1:40 p.m. and I went to the airport with my family. Trust my mom, we left the house way before 8 a.m. But it was really helpful because it helped me beat the queue, and later that day I actually heard there was an accident on the road that kind of prevented people from arriving early. So one of the benefits for me was that I was able to check in my luggage in time and just relax and just relax and focus on the trip ahead. So some of the things you might want to know is that your luggage, if you're flying Ethiopian, depending on what airline you're flying, I flew economy Ethiopian and my luggage was 23 kg, 2 bags of 23 kg each. And as you begin packing, you'd realize 23 kg is nothing. I had 4 23 kg bags. This is apart from my hand luggage and my carry-on bag. I had 4 23 kg bags, and I did not want to pay for extra luggage. Anyway, got to the airport, moved over to weigh my luggage at the Ethiopian Airlines stand, and the bag I had weighed with one of these little manual scales and was 23 kg then, was actually 32 kg. So you also want to make sure that your scale is accurate so that you don't get to the airport and get into this frenzy and confusion on what to start throwing out of your bag. So that was me at the airport. For every extra 23 kg, they said they were going to charge me $210, and I'm thinking, what? Where do I want to get this money from? You guys want to start depleting my POF already? Never. So another thing is that there are options. So if you do not want to take all your luggage with you or pay for excess luggage, you can actually cargo prior to getting to that airport. I'm on so many groups that have helped tremendously in this whole process for me. But a lot of the conversations on the group around cargoing had said you cannot ship anything less than 50 kg, and 50 kg is between 120 to 150,000 naira. So that's if you're cargoing things to Canada. But for some reason I saw this contact on one of my groups and just thought to call him. So he told me, oh, it's 120k. He's in contact in Nako. His name is Majek. I'm recommending him to you. Majek. According to him, his field name is Action. So if you're ever in Nako, you can ask for Action. I tell him you got a referral from Neka. So I started speaking with Majek, and I told him I do not have up to 50 kg. 50 to 100 kg is about 120,000 naira. So am I going to have to pay 120,000 naira even if I have less? He said, well, if you have less than 50 kg, it's expensive, but it's not 120 kg. I'm like, how much is it? And he said 65,000 naira. I'm like, wow, I've never heard this. So I can actually send less than 50 kg, and that worked perfectly for me. So right there and then, my mom and family split my luggage. I took 2 23 kgs and the rest I shipped, and I spent just 65,000 naira. But while claiming your luggage here, you need to be careful. I'll tell you more later in this video about how to make sure you get your luggage tax-free. It's by filling a form called the goods to follow form. So I'll talk more about it. So yes, so I also went through Nigeria immigration. It wasn't much of a hassle. I mean, the usual anything for us. So if you really are feeling good and might want to tip people, you can just have some small notes in your hand, 200, 500. So but if you do not want to, you don't have to. But now, don't be rude, don't be nasty. Just be kind to them and smile a lot. That kind of defeats them. So yes, I went through immigration and I was ready to board about well over an hour before the actual boarding time, but it just gave me time to relax, to reflect. Oh yeah, I'm single. So I said this because I know a lot of people travel with their families, and the more you are, like if you have more kids, it's going to be a little more stressful, So I don't want you to think it's all easy breezy. Maybe because I was just carrying just myself, I wasn't going with a husband or kids, so it was quite easy breezy for me. So when it was time for my flight, we boarded. The flight left on time. I have to tell you that has been the longest flight of my life. So I had 2 layovers, one in Addis Ababa and one in Dublin. We couldn't land in Addis Ababa at the planned time though. There was bad weather and there was also congestion on the runway. So we had to go to another city in Ethiopia. What's the name now? Jibo. I have to check that out. But we had to stay there for like 2 hours, which almost made us late for our flight to Toronto. So when the weather got better, we flew back to Addis Ababa and we boarded the Toronto flight. And yeah, let me tell you about my seatmate. So I chose the window seat. So if you love window seats, you might want to check in as soon as you're allowed to. That's 24 hours before, and pick a window seat. I had 2 Chinese seatmates that did not understand the word of English, but very smart people. They had this machine, it was a translator. So for every time they wanted to communicate with me, they spoke in Chinese to the translator and played it in English, and I did the same, spoke in English and played it in Chinese for them. So yes, the flight was okay, the food was fine. It was a lot of rice and it was regular. I mean, they served at some point I stopped eating because there was rice. They would always ask you chicken or beef, and there were also snacks and desserts. So it was a nice experience. The flight wasn't too bumpy, it was quite easy breezy, but it was long. That you cannot avoid. It is a long trip to Canada. So yes, fast forward to landing. We landed and now we got to Canada. It was time to face the Canadian immigration. So let me give you an order. When you land at the airport, trust me, it could get very confusing. The very first place you're going to is immigration. From immigration, you get your social insurance number. From social insurance number, you go to your baggage claim. You claim your baggage and it passes through security, and if you're lucky, your bags don't get checked. So let me tell you how mine went. So I went to immigration, and you might want to move very fast because it helped me beat the queue. So I was one of the first people to be attended to. My flights, because of the delay, instead of landing by 8:30 a.m. as planned, we landed Toronto by, oh yeah, my destination is Toronto, or was Toronto. I'm in Toronto right now. So we landed Toronto at about past 10. Yes, so I went straight to immigration. They asked to check my passport, my other travel documents. That's your COPR. Just make sure you have those things handy. But the last thing you want to do is to be digging through your bags when they're asking for those things. You don't have to be tense, relax. You did not steal the visa. The minute you give it to them, then you move straight to immigration. When you get to immigration, you're actually at the mercy of whatever officer that is there. It also depends on their mood. You might be asked, like right beside me, someone was being asked to show her POF, her proof of funds. I wasn't asked any of that. She just asked, oh, why are you in Canada? Told her, oh, permanent residence. I'm here to work. Can I see your passport? Please sit down, ma'am. We'll call you when we're done. And they call me. I go back to the counter. Please sign here, please sign here, thank you. Move this way to get your social insurance number. And I went there. The SIN lady was super nice. And then also, if you want to get your social insurance number right there at the airport, you might want to land on a weekday when they are still open, because if you land on a weekend, you'd have to come back to get that done. They are only there weekdays. So I was able to get my social insurance number, and the lady told me, this is your life in Canada. Keep this document safe. You mustn't get into the wrong hands. Memorize it if possible, so you don't always have to carry it around. And then I moved straight to the baggage claim, got my luggage, and just as I was passing through the airport security, they actually were harassing a lady. She had lots of cigarettes, and I'm not kidding, over 12 bottles of wine. So yes, this now brings me to your declaration form and your goods to follow. While on the airport, you'd be given a declaration form. It would ask you to declare, oh, I wish I had a copy, I'd have shown you right now. They would ask you to declare whatever it is you have on you. I mean, there are already boxes. Are you with fish? Are you with meat? Are you with this? That if you are, you need to be honest. Because what happens is you might get lucky and they don't check. But if they check and they find even one item of the things you didn't declare, you can be fined. The lady was fined about $1,000, and I'm like, what? Yeah, she was fined about $1,000. So you might want to declare everything you have on you. Better still, meat isn't allowed in Canada. Meat products, chicken products. So if you want to travel with seasoning cubes like Knorr Maggi, go with maybe crayfish or other ones that are not chicken. Same for Indomie. You could go with Indomie chicken, Indomie onion, not chicken. But all those things are here actually. But if you insist on going with yours, don't take chicken products. So I was also lucky again. The officer who checked my bags was actually quite friendly, asking if I would miss my mom, asking what I plan to do, telling me I would love it in Canada. And that's the thing, they are super friendly. So try not to get on their bad side, because when you do, they can be very thorough. My bags weren't checked. So I also filled a form called goods to follow form. So if you're like me and you'd be cargoing things, there is a form you can print online. Write down every item you'd be cargoing. I mean, if you don't remember every single item, you could just categorize them, so you could say, oh, toiletries, clothing, because you can't write scarf, jackets, skirts, toothpaste, so just write broad categories of everything you'll be cargoing. So what they do, and you write the value, you could just estimate, write the value of them, then it gets signed and stamped. So what happens is when your cargo arrives and you go with that document, you just get your goods without paying tax. But if you don't have a goods to follow document and you cargo things, when they arrive, you'll be taxed heavily for those items. And sometimes the tax might even be more than what it's worth, and you might just have to forfeit your goods. So make sure you go online, just Google it, Canada Immigration Goods to Follow form, download it. Or even better, you could download the form, even though the number of lines to write might not be enough. You can just use an additional plain sheet. As long as it's stamped, it's fine. Make sure you get it stamped. Don't let anyone tell you, oh no, it's not up to $10,000, so you don't have to stamp it. Total of mine was about $3,000 or something, and it still got stamped. My goods will be arriving in about I think 2 days. Yes, because it's 3 to 5 days. So I'm not going to be paying taxes. So that was pretty much it. And after all of that, my host was waiting for me. She didn't drive because I think parking in the airport is about $25, and she lives super close to the airport, so we just took an airport taxi. So yes, I am in Canada and I'm excited. So there is so much I do not know, so much I'll be learning. But what I'll do is, for every new thing I learn, I'll share with you, just because you are also in the process. And it's always best to learn or have heads up before you go for some of these things. I'm also going to be talking about other things you need to know, like opening a bank account, I'd been advised that the best bank account with best rates for newcomers is RBC. So yeah, I opened an RBC bank account yesterday. You could also do that at the airport, but I just did mine yesterday. So yes, make sure. So let me just run you through quickly everything you need to know about landing. Get to the airport super early. If you have excess luggage and you do not have 210 to dash dollars to dash anyone, you might want to cargo. And yes, you can cargo less than 50,000 naira, sorry, less than 50 kg for 65,000 naira at NACO through some guy called Majek, aka Action. So what else is there to know? Just don't try to look for trouble. If they say meat isn't allowed in Canada, maybe you might not want to take meat. You might get lucky, but if you don't, they get upset and run through your whole bags and might fine you. Okay, so yes, whatever airline it is you fly, find out what their baggage allowance is, their luggage allowance rather, and try to make sure you get a proper scale to weigh them before you go to the airport. So for everyone who has landed, thank you for all your tips and advice. Everyone who's here to land, trust me, it's not that difficult. You might not get asked for your POF, but it will be advisable to have a bank statement, even though you don't have everything in cash, to have a bank statement that shows you have that money in your account, an updated bank statement. If you use treasury bills like I did, you also need to go to the bank very close to your travel date to get an updated treasury bill certificate, just in case they ask. Just walk into any bank and request for it, and you get it in less than 5 minutes. So yes, I'll be sharing more how to get a job. I had an interview yesterday. I'll also tell you more about that soon. There isn't any verdict yet. It was just yesterday, so I'll tell you the best way to go about getting a job. Some people are landing and starting off in Airbnb. That's great. If you have a host, that's really awesome. You have to be very grateful to the person because they'll be saving you a lot. But if you don't, on Airbnb there are lots of apartments. Just search for what city you'd want to and your price range, and you'd see options. So yes, thank you. First Naija Canada girl video. My eyes are still red, and they lied. They said winter was going to be over in April. It is not over. It snowed yesterday. Yes, my nose actually bled a little, nothing major. Okay, so you might want to get proper clothing as soon as you land if you don't have. Although I hear after April it's clear sailing, cool weather. Canada is beautiful, and I can't wait to have you guys all here. And for everyone who's still who hasn't started the process, don't worry, I'm going to have a video where I share my experience, the process, what you need to do, an average amount you'd spend on the process. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button on Naija Canada Girl, so you can get updates when I have new videos. I'm also going to have snippets on Instagram, so turn on your post notification and follow at Naija Canada Girl. So basically, Naija girl living in Canada, my story. Thanks guys, bye.